Hello guys, welcome back to this channel and thanks for viewing this video. Today we are going to talk about 2D graphics in Java GUI. I'm going to show you how to draw some 2D graphics like lines and rectangles and circles in Java GUI. So without delay, let's begin. So I have two classes. I have the main class in which I'm creating a frame object, using this line of code. Apart from the main class, I also have my frame.java class, which is inheriting from the JFrame class. And based on this class, we are creating our frame object in the main class. And I have a constructor, and in the constructor, I am defining the attributes of the frame. So I need to add in the myFrame.java class a method called paint. So I will say like this: public void paint graphics G. And I need to import the graphics class. So inside this particular method, I need to actually convert the graphics into 2D graphics. So I will say graphics 2D, graphic underscore 2D, new graphic 2D, and I'm converting graphics and I called it G. So G here is making reference to parameter that we are passing in the method here. So I need to import the graphics 2D class, which is the class responsible for allowing us to create 2D shapes. So after I have done that, let's say that I want to draw a line, for example. So there are various methods that we can actually use to create different kind of shapes. So let's start with creating a line. So I will say graphic underscore 2D dot draw line. So that's the name of the method. And I have four parameters or arguments that I need to pass. The first two parameters are going to refer to the starting point coordinates, and the last two parameters will refer to the ending point coordinates. So if I say 0, 0, so these two are going to refer to the starting point coordinates, and I will say 500, 500 here, which will refer to the ending points coordinate. When I run, now you can see the line showing on the screen. And you can also note that the starting point is actually starting right below the title bar. So you have to keep that in mind when you draw your line and when you define the starting point. Let's say, for example, that I change the y-axis of the starting point coordinate by saying 50 here. And when I run, now you can see where it is starting. All right, so this is for the line. Let me say that I also want to draw a rectangle. So to draw a rectangle, I can simply say graphic underscore 2D draw rect. So for the rectangle, I also need to pass three parameters. The first two parameters refer to the starting point coordinates, and the last two refer to the height and the width of the rectangle. So let me start with coordinates, the starting coordinates. So I will say 0, 0. And here I need to write the width. So if I say 250, and for the height, say 200. Now let me run. Now you can see my rectangle shown on the screen. And as you can see, it's actually starting below the title bar here, because we are having a title bar, we can't see the starting point. So we have to always keep that in mind. I can choose to change the y-axis and say 20 here, so that we'll be able to see the rectangle in full. We're still not able to see that. Let's say 40. All right, now we can see. I can maybe just change the x-axis as well. Yeah, so now we can see our rectangle. Let me comment the first line, the line. So we want to see the rectangle itself. So this is the rectangle that we have added. So what if we want to increase the width of the line of the rectangle? So we will simply say graphic underscore 2D that set stroke. Now we will say new basic stroke. That'll be 5. So let's import the basic stroke and let's run. So we have set it to 5. And you can see now that the stroke or the line of our rectangle has increased its size. So if I say 50, for example, and then run, now you can see, say 500. Let me uncomment the draw line and run. Say 50 here. What if I say that I want to set paint? So graphic underscore 2D that set paint, and I will say color that red, import the color class. Let me copy this, paste it at the top here. Let me run. So now you can see it is applying. All right, so what you need to do actually is to make sure that the set stroke, set paint are placed before drawing the rectangle. So let me comment, let me change, for example, if we say 20 here and then run, you can see the line has increased, the line color has been set to red. I can apply these methods to the line itself. So I'll copy this and come here and paste it. Let me comment the rectangle and run. So now you can see that the line width has increased and then its color has also changed. All right, in this example, draw rect, when you run, you can see that we have a rectangle, but this rectangle is not filled with a color. We can actually create a rectangle filled with a certain color. So we will say graphic underscore 2D that fill rect, and let's say 0, 50 for the width, let's say 250, and then 200. So that's it. Now let's run. So you can see now we have a rectangle that is filled with a black color, because by default, that's the color that it will pick. So let's say that we uncomment the set paint here and say color red and run. Now you see we're having a red color here, filled rectangle. We can change the color here. If we say color blue and run, now you see your rectangle is having a blue color. So let's comment this. Let's say that we want to create or want to draw a circle. So to draw a circle, we use a class called draw oval. So we will say graphic underscore 2D that draw oval. And as you can see, we can specify the starting point, the width, and then the height. So we say 150 here and 150 there. So let's run. Now you can see we are having a circle. What if we have a different width and then a different height? Now I have my width, which is 150, and then the height, which is 200. So now you can see what is showing it. So this is to tell you that if you definitely want to have a circle, you need to have equal width and an equal height. So now when we run, you can see now we're having our circle. All right. So at the same time, we can also draw a filled circle, a circle that is filled with a color. So that will be graphic underscore 2D that fill oval. So we will simply copy this and paste it here. All right, let me comment this. So now when we run, you will see that we have a color filled circle. And as I told you before, black color is actually a color by default. But if you want to set the color of this particular circle, you can use the set paint. Now it says graphic underscore 2D set paint, color that blue. So let's say when you run, now you can see that your circle is filled with a blue color. All right, so we can also draw an arc. So how do we do that? All right, so what we're gonna do, let's first comment this line. So if you want to draw an arc, so we say graphic underscore 2D that draw arc. So we need to pass the starting point coordinates like this, the width. So we will say 200, 200 for the height. So we have here the start angle where we want to start our arc. If we say 0 like this, and we can also define the angle of our arc. So let's say 180. So when we run, this would normally draw an half circle, okay? Because we said 0, that's why it's starting here. And then we defined the angle of the arc, 180. If we say 190, for example, see what will happen. See how this has moved a little bit. If we say 90 as the arc angle, now this is how it is looking. If you say 290, okay, now you can see how your arc is looking at. What if we have different height and width? If we say that the height is 100, meanwhile the width is 200, so now this is how it is looking like, all right? So you can play around depending on what kind of shape you want to show on your frame. So with this arc, you can also draw a color filled arc. And to draw that, so what we're gonna do, I will simply copy this, paste it here. Let me comment. I will change this to 180. And instead of saying draw arc, we will say fill arc. Okay, so now let's run. Now you see the arc that is showing. So you can also set paint. So let me copy this. And if I put that right before the fill arc, and I say blue, when I run, you can see now the color of your half circle is blue. So we have drawn the line and the rectangle. So with the rectangle, you can draw the square. So depending on the height and the width that you would declare, you can draw your oval shapes. You can draw a circle and the arc and all of that. So now what if we want to draw a triangle? A triangle is a geometrical shape that has three sides. If you want to draw a triangle, we will need to have an array of integers and we'll need to determine the number of points. Okay, so in our case, a triangle has three sides and it has 3 points. So we will need to have that in mind. So let's declare our array. We will need two arrays. One array that will help us determine the x points and the other array that will help us determine the y points. Because, in order to determine the coordinates, we need to have the x and the y. So that's what we're gonna do. So we will say int x points, and I'm going to define my x axis points. I'll say 150, 250, 350. So I will do the very same thing for the x points, the y points, excuse me. So that will be y point here. And as for this one, I will say 300, 150, and 300. So if I need to explain this, the reason why we are having only 3 values in our arrays is because we have 3 points in a triangle. So the coordinate of each point will be the couple of an x point item and a y point item. So now, if you want to draw a triangle, there is a class called draw polygon. So all you have to do, write the name of graphic. So we say graphic underscore 2D because we are using 2D graphics here, and say draw polygon. And then you need to pass your int arrays. So you say x points, y points, and then the third one will be 3 to make reference to the number of points we have in a triangle. So now when you run, you can see a triangle showing on your screen. But what if we had 4 points, or let's say 5 points, and then let's say 2 here, 200, and I had another one that I would say 100, 140. Y coordinates, I would say 100, 320. And here, instead of saying 3 points, I say 5 points. And then when I run, you can see what has happened because we have 5 points. So I can just play around here. Let me run again. So you can actually play around the different shapes. So let's come back to the triangle. So here is the triangle that we've been able to draw on our frame. You can also draw a filled triangle. So all you have to do, instead of saying draw polygon, you simply say fill polygon, and then you have your x points, y points, and then 3, which is referring to the number of points. Here you have your polygon. If you want to set the color, you can just set paint. So simply come and paste it here. When you run, now you have a triangle filled with a blue color. So let me comment this. Okay, so now we can also draw a string of text on a graphic. We will leave the triangle, for example, and then we will say graphic underscore 2D that draw string. And then here we can define the message. So we will simply say drawing a string. And then the last 2 coordinates, parameters are going to be the coordinates that I want to set like this. So now let's run and see what is happening. What if we remove the fill polygon here, or we set the color to blue? All right, so we have to comment all of this and then draw our string. So we're saying graphic underscore 2D, drawing a string. We can even increase the x-axis. So now we can set the color of this particular string. Say graphic underscore 2D, let's set color red. Let's run. Now you see it's now red. We can change the font of the string. So we will say graphic underscore 2D that set font, new font, console us, font bold, 28 as the font size. It's all right. Let's run. Now you can see the string showing on the screen. So now if we uncomment our triangle lines of code here, and we can increase this and then run. Now we've been able to actually place the string text on our triangle. So now let's say, what if we want to add an image to the graphic? We have our image here, mylogo.png. We want to add a particular image to the graphic. What should we do? So we are going to declare an image globally here. So we will say image, we'll call this image. Within the constructor, we need to instantiate our image, but before that, let us import the image class, and let's come in the constructor. Let's instantiate our image. We say image assignment operator, new image icon. Let's set the path of the image. And we know in my project here, my image is found in the images folder, and I called it my_logo.png. And I'm going to say get image, semicolon. So this line of code is actually going to create an image out of my image icon. So let's go back in our paint method, and we will write this. If we want to add an image, we will say graphic_2D, which is the name of our 2D graphics, that draw image. So in here, there are a lot of parameters that we can pass. And in our example, we'll pass this image. So image here is referring to the image we declared globally. And then let's define the coordinates 150, 250. And the fourth one, I'll say null. Now let me run. So now you can see I have an image showing on the frame. If I increase the x-axis and run, so you can see the image where it is showing. So this image can even be used as a background image, and we can even draw on top of it, okay? So for example, if our image was big enough, we could actually set it as the background image. And then after that, we would add our shapes and drawings. And what you can note is that on these lines of code, when you add a drawing first, that drawing is overlapped by the next drawing that will be added. So here, because on this code, the triangle was added first, and then second, the string, and then the image. That's why when you run, you can see the triangle, the string, and then the image is overlapping. All right, so one thing I also want to show you is that we can also draw some shapes on the panel. So what I want to show you is that let's create a new class. Click on File, New Class, and we will call this class Draw Panel, and then click on Finish. So that's our class. This particular class is going to extend the JPanel class. And let's import the JPanel class. Let's create the constructor for this class. And then we will set the preferred size. So we say this.set preferred size, new dimension, let's say 500, 500. Import the dimension class. So now how do we draw on the panel? All right, in order to draw on the panel, we will have to actually get rid of this paint method that we have in our myFrame.java class. We cut it and paste it in our draw panel class. And then we are having an error here, the image, because we don't have image here. So we will declare our image, or we can simply copy from this class here and say copy, come in and draw panel. We'll paste it, and then this line of code will be copied as well. Let's remove that in the code, and then come in the draw panel. I will paste it in a constructor. All right, so if we run, nothing will happen because we have not added the draw panel to the frame. So in order to add it to the frame, we need to declare the draw panel in the constructor, or we can do that globally. So we will say draw panel, call it draw panel. And then let's instantiate that in our constructor, draw panel equal new draw panel, and then we'll add it to the frame, this.add draw_panel. So now let's run. Okay, now you can see how this is showing. In the draw panel class, we can say this.setPack. No, we have to set that in the myFrame class. We will say this.setPack. Let's remove the size of the frame. I'll simply comment. Let me say this.setPack. This.pack. Now let's run. So you can see now that the frame is adjusting itself according to the size of the panel. So you now have a panel that is containing your various shapes, a triangle, a string, and an image. So I hope this video was informative, and please don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Let's meet in the next one.